Hi, everybody. He's Dave Pensado. I'm Herb Trollock, and in a minute, you'll meet our guest, one of the hottest songwriters and activists in the business today. But first, June 30th, Pensado Pro Audio Party at Summer NAMM is getting close. We'll be in Nashville at the Music Center, and it's a two-part hoedown, that's for sure. First, a discussion at 1 p.m. with audio renaissance man John McBride. Then at 2, gear giveaways, a hang with Dave and I and John in the Pro Audio Lounge. Highly recommend you get to booth 453, Halsey at 1 p.m. and learn success lessons from John McBride. When you think about his brands, the Blackbird Studios, Blackbird Academy, his mic collection, his ongoing work as a front of house guy, the people he gets hired all over the world, everything is best in class. You've got to take those opportunities to learn from folks like that. Then afterwards, as I said, come meet John, Dave, and myself and win some free stuff. Winning free stuff is really cool. Our pals at Warm Audio, Isotope, Sonarworks, and many, many more are going to give some things away, so all you have to do is sign up and show up. Hell, we'll even get you in free that Saturday. All you have to do is go to this link, bit.ly/Pensado Summer. Go to that registration, enter the code Pensado, and you can attend on us and our friends at NAMM. Pensado Pro Audio Party at Summer NAMM, Saturday, June 30th, starting at 1 p.m. And speaking of great stuff, I just mentioned Sonarworks. We want to welcome them on board. They are a new sponsor of Pensado's Place. Let's give them a round of applause. Yay! What you can't see is Dave's assistants are in the room, and I know when we first started talking about Sonarworks, your boys had a big reaction to it.
Yeah, Nico has it. And even today, he was talking about how much it really worked for him. It's a product that has a need to exist.
Give us an overview perspective on it.
Well, the technology in it is next level technology, and I think it's a kind of a metaphor. Not a metaphor. It's the future. It's where things are going. You know, and it allows you to focus on the music instead of trying to figure out what your speakers are telling you. A lot of you guys have heard me say in the past, I don't really listen to my speakers, I communicate with them. I like my speaker to go, hey, legend boy, you think that snare's hitting? Come on, man, give me some more, give me like a snare that's really good. And this software allows you to do that. Just talk directly and get the information you need from them. And then it just makes your mixing quicker. And our buddy Rafa Sardina likes it, Ariel Berjau, never can say his name, and Mark Needham, of course. They endorse it, so you know it's got to be top quality.
Instead of you worrying about your room acoustics, this will allow you to adjust in such a way that doesn't have to be.
Once again, you distilled everything I said into one incredible
sentence.
That's my
gift.
Well, I feel lucky that I'm responsible for your career.
Thank you.
I constantly need editing, so we're a good team, buddy.
Absolutely. Maybe we should do a show or something.
Yeah, good stuff though. I really think that I'm proud to endorse it. You guys need to check it out. It can make your life so easy and your creative career a lot better too.
When we met with the guys, the thing that was interesting is that the technology works both in headphones. So for all you guys who are sitting in home studios and so on and so forth, and the neighbors bitching at you because you're loud, you can now adjust your stuff. But then they also have the technologies applicable to speakers as well too. So you can monitor with it and change.
If you go that way, you get a microphone that's been calibrated to the software, and it'll actually analyze the room for you. The headphones can emulate very, very expensive quality headphones that a lot of us use.
In upcoming episodes, a lot more information, some giveaways. Martins, Lee, and the crew in Latvia, which is where they're based. They're very aggressive about Sonarworks. They are very cool guys. We spent a lot of time with them. So we thank them for joining us, and they joined a pretty illustrious crew. 1,500 Nothin, the Blackbird Academy, Westlake Pro, Avid, Warm Audio, Groove 3, and now Sonarworks. So one more time, round of applause for Sonarworks. Join me. Now, before ITL, which is coming up, remember, great educational opportunities at the 1500 Sound Academy, which you see right here, classes in songwriting and beat making and audio engineering and lots more. That information's at 1500sound.academy. I actually attended a packed musical breakdown of the Nipsey Hussle record on Friday night.
Oh, wow.
I went down at 8, intended to leave at 9, got home at 1:45 in the morning. Something went awry. There were all kinds of hit creators in attendance. It was pretty crazy. But the craziest thing is I met a young lady, and we're going to talk to her at another point in time on the show, who literally flies from North Carolina into class, goes home that night, and comes back every single week. That's how much the impact of that. And by the way, she found out about the Academy through Pensado's play. So it was great to meet her and have a big reaction. Yeah. But that's how passionate she is about the way they teach. And then also the school they model themselves after, the Blackbird Academy. They have studio and live classes open in July and live classes in October. You can go to their website or hit Karma directly at Karma with a C at theblackbirdacademy.com. So there's your educational opportunities. Come see us in NAMM. We're going to announce something new in Chicago in a minute. Lots going on, including a brand new ITL. What's the name of the ITL, sir?
Well, it might surprise you, but I'm going to show you how to do clipping on your stereo bus. It's sad that we use the word distortion because it's not really distortion like the Elephant Man. It's more like a rich collection of harmonics. Check it out. I'm always looking for an advantage over my competition and my friends, and a way to get a little more. And I think an area that we need to explore more often and more deeply is clipping. Now, clipping isn't making it sound bad. Clipping is as you approach digital zero, what happens to that waveform. Usually it squares off, and we can have some control over that waveform after that. I'm not going to go too deep into that. I'd love to do a video for you showing you what happens, but right now, let's think of how to use clipping to get a little more of what we want. One of my favorites is probably the oldest one of the bunch. I'm not sure why mine's a demo because I paid for it. Hopefully this will go away. Okay, there we go. I'm in clip mode. Copy this setting. It's not a very expensive plugin, but a lot of us think it's one of the best emulations of the old Labrie Gold. Now this one is my new favorite. This is standard clip. I think this, Nico, what's this, about 39, 40 bucks something? 50 bucks? Very, very affordable. Here's a preset that I start with. My friend Michaela Canova showed this to me. I'll leave this up here for a second so you can copy it. This is a great place to start. Now what we're doing, we're determining what happens up near the limits of our sound. Oversampling is a very, very, very critical part of the quality that you get with clipping plugins. Let me just show you, check it out. Okay, that's at 16. Let's try 32. Listen to the low end, how tight it is. Okay, now you can see what we're clipping right here. Now, we've got several different options. Here's a softer clip. This is the problem that you're going to have when you use. My computer is pretty powerful, and it still slows down at 32. So for this one, we'll go to 16. Okay, now you've got a lot of options with this. And this is a new one. This just came out a few days ago. This is called K-Clip 3. Listen to the kick drum. What you see here is you get 4 different clipping plugins. So here's one. We're not using these two. We're using each one. You can select a type of clipping that you want. the manual says that crisp is taken from a real famous piece of outboard gear that was real popular. Now, this is one of my favorites. This is part of the T-Rack series. I'm a little new to this one, but boy, playing with it today, I was like, damn. Check this out. Wow. Wow. Now this guy, Joey Sturgis, is building some of my favorite plugins. Joey's a bright man. I think he's Ivy League educated and known for heavy metal and known for making his own plugins, and I love all his plugins. This one has a subtlety to it that the other ones don't have. This is a preset I like to use. Without it. Okay, so what did we learn? Well, we learned that Dave's too cheap to pay for something. No, I really paid for it, I'm just kidding. And we also learned that manipulating the sound using clipping plugins has a subtlety to it. And if you want something that's just going to bang you over the head, this is probably not the area to get that, because you are manipulating things that can actually make the mix sound extremely ugly. But what we're trying to do is determine what the harmonics are, determine how it saturates, and emulate what happens in the real world without actually emulating any one individual thing. So do your homework, find some of the other plugins that clip, and experiment with it. And remember, less is always more. You can get in trouble. I recommend, if you've got an important mix to get out and it's going to leave your hands permanently at midnight or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, go to sleep, wake up, listen to it fresh, and then send it out, because you can get yourself in trouble. I have before. Let me know what you think. I really see this as an area for future growth and future experimentation, and an area where plug-in manufacturers can really start to take artificial intelligence or machine learning, whichever you want to call it, to the next level. All right, guys.
Between writing hits and standing for principles, our guest keeps his plate full, and we'll tell you how full. Please welcome the incredibly hot as fire, Justin Tranter. Hey, man.
How are you?
Welcome. So I feel sympathetic, and I want to be empathetic to you. I mean, 2017 Songwriter of the Year, one of Rolling Stone's top 20 people, names like Stefani and Imagine Dragons and, Bieber and Selena Gomez. This success thing has just been elusive for you, hasn't it?
Well, what's interesting is that there was so many years of extreme failure. Mm-hmm. Even though in my band we had an amazing fan base that loved us and supported us and were as passionate as you could ask for, we were broke and we were dropped from 4 record deals total, 3 major, 4. There was an indie deal as well. Like, there was a lot of
beatdown.
A lot of beatdown before anything worked out.
And what's interesting about your point, which is a great point for you guys, is that's kind of the process.
I mean, sometimes there are people you meet who are like, how are you 19 and you're writing circles around me and you already have 2 number ones?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For the most part,
it's the other
For
way.
the most part, it takes a long, long time.
And go ahead.
My favorite part of the story, Justin, is the fact that you believed in semi-precious weapons so much that you were willing to bet the farm. And when I say bet the farm, you bet the farm.
I bet the farm like 6 different times.
And I find that lacking today.
Yeah.
People want everybody else to support them, but they don't want to give anything and take any risk themselves. And you did. And when you hit rock bottom, were you thinking, like after the jewelry sale and all that, what were you thinking? I mean.
Well, there was a couple times I hit rock bottom with in terms of chasing success. So the jewelry line I had was based on the band. So it was band merchandise that kind of blew up. So I felt
was
like
it
even
Fetty then?
Exactly.
Okay.
So once the jewelry started taking on a life of its own, we kind of created a company for it and gave it a name and blah, blah, blah. But it was based in band merchandise to start with. and then blew up, and Urban Outfitters and Barney's, and it was 14 karat gold and diamonds down to like brass crappy shit, like the whole range, and put every single cent into the band time and time again, and it, for the first, from 2006 until 2011, it was like every couple weeks you could see another step, like the tiniest step ever, but like you could see some sort of progress. And then when the Gaga tour was over and we were dropped from Interscope, and we had moved to LA to make an album with Tricky Stewart, but then Interscope dropped us, and so it was just like, well, now we live in a city we don't know, and at the time it didn't like, now I love it, but like, that was definitely a moment of like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
Absolutely.
And then, so I guess to answer your question, I don't know. I always just, whether it was from when I was being bullied as a kid or whether it was to the career messing up, I just always, whether it was I was right or just delusional, I just thought everyone else was wrong. And I was like, I'm gonna be right at some point. At some point, everyone's gonna go, oh, he was right, at least about this, at least about that. So when I had those rock bottom moments, it definitely was just like, well, everyone's wrong. And I'm gonna figure this out somehow.
Because the reality of it is you have to have something that you cling to.
You have to.
You have to have some belief when it's all bad that there's something that's going to pull me out to the good. And I think that's true of any success.
One of those weird moments too, like as a musician, when you don't have a day job for a couple years and your life is music with the band, none of us had any money to like save, but that was our job.
Right.
When we were moved to LA and things weren't going well, and that idea of like, oh shit, we all need to get jobs, like it feels so humiliating. But then you're like, well, wait, but I had a job 4 years ago.
And I want to do that job.
And I was like, I want to be a musician, but like I had a normal job 4 years ago. I can go do that again for whatever. It's like the brain just puts all these tricks on you that you feel like a failure, but you're like, but I love people who have day jobs. So that's not a failure. It's just like figuring it out. I don't know. It's all interesting.
I had played in a lot of bands, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of miss it. Do you ever miss playing in bands? The nurturing, the camaraderie, and the...
I have that camaraderie, like I have that every day with the people I make music with. It's so, the pop world is so collaborative. My actual band members make music with me all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
The drummer, who's a huge super fan of your guys' show, he goes to Vegas, to play with Gwen for a year or however long the tour is, or the show is, and half the songs we play are songs that I co-wrote. So it's like, we still have that. There's those magical moments on stage that I think I miss.
Yeah, I miss that too.
But to be really honest, it's like, that's like twice a show, and you have to like ruin your whole life to go and have those moments where I feel that in the studio almost every day. Like when you know something's good, not always great, but when you know it's good, there's that feeling of like, okay, this is like magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the songwriters and stuff that I know and been fortunate over the years, there's a completely different mindset about writing it yourself and collaborating.
100%.
Collaboration is a whole other involvement and relationship and depth and trust and fear, and is that correct?
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. I first started writing songs alone just in high school, and then college writing songs alone, blah blah. And then even for the first like album or two of the band, I wrote everything alone, and they would just then like arrange it with me and flesh it out. The last album we made for the band, Aviation, was full collaboration with my band members, and then sometimes like an additional co-producer or an additional songwriter. And I started to go, okay, this is kind of awesome. Like I feel the songs are better. Like this is getting better. And then when I stepped into writing songs with and for other people, not about me, the idea of going to do that alone seems insane. I'll sit down and try to like write a song now alone, and like 5 minutes in, I'm like, fuck this. Like this is boring. Like the wall can't tell me if it's good.
Right.
The wall can't help me finish the line.
I can't go to lunch with the wall. Right.
Or like, I think what's so beautiful too about collaborating is, it really takes putting your ego in check at the most real way of going, okay, I am not great at everything. Like detailed pop melodies, I am not great at. Anthemic, more alternative melodies, I know I can do that. Lyrical things, I know I can handle certain aspects of most of lyrical things. I feel very confident in, or whatever. But you have to know your weaknesses and be okay with them to be a good collaborator, which I think a lot of people don't get.
You mentioned lyrics. how do you stay so current with the culture? Because most of your lyrics are an outgrowth of modern culture. How do you keep up with modern culture? Are you part of it? Is that how, or do you observe it?
I mean, I am culture. No,
Culture is me.
Culture is me. But there's some quote. Isn't there
Yeah,
quote?
there's something there.
Anyway, no, I collaborate with a lot of young people, to be really honest. You know, when I met Julia Michaels, she was 19. Blonde girl at the end of that picture there is a woman named Kennedy, who is, I'm fortunate enough to, she's signed to my publishing joint venture with Warner Chappell. She just turned 20. So that helps, being smart enough to collaborate with young people, even though you want to feel like you're old and smarter, you're not. And then also too, my goal is always just to find like the most urgent thing in the room. So whether that's the co-writer, whether that's the artist, whatever it is, whether that's the beat, really focus on the urgency.
What does that mean, urgent?
I like things that like have like a very clear, it feels like there's a really clear point, like an urgent point. Like I need to know, I know what they're talking about and I need to know what it is right now.
So it's demanding.
Demanding.
So a song like Sorry, say with Bieber, we all know what he was going through. You would use that to come up with the lyrics for Sorry?
Yeah, I mean that, you know, me and Julia started that song on our own, and then Bieber came into the process. Bieber and Skrillex came into the process later. And the idea of it, it's not necessarily even about whether it's about the artist specifically and what the world is thinking and blah, blah, blah. It's really just digging into the idea of like, in a moment of a relationship, asking someone if it's too late to say sorry is a pretty urgent thing to ask. That's a question that demands an answer.
Or throwing eggs at their house.
Right, you know. And so I just like that, or whether it's Halsey, Bad at Love, you know, it's like that urgent idea of like her, you know, which she's one of the best writers I've ever worked with, and the idea of her like, I mean, I'm bad at love. That's a pretty urgent statement. And so I feel like, of course, there can be young, cool slang in songs, but for me, it's not really about that. It's just about what feels important.
And I tell you, in my view, what shows through in what you do, and now I understand it better, because you pick that urgent thing, your songs, in particular the top line part of what you do, have a clarity to it. Like, I don't have to dig deep to find out what this is about. It's here.
Yeah.
And then I just have to enjoy it, which I think...
Thank you very much.
Is that an accurate observation?
Well, I always say everything is pop, right? Pop as a genre is so... Or everything can be pop. So pop as a genre is so diverse that we don't know what pop is. Like, I think you would say that something that sounds like super down the middle bubblegum is pop, but it's not. Pop is just whatever's popular.
Pop is
and I
hip-hop.
think that, right.
Yeah.
And whatever is pop is just because it's clear enough that you can understand it on the first listen.
Which makes it popular.
Makes it popular. And there's, you know, I think a lot of like, which I was guilty of this when I was younger, like you want to be pretentious and you say, oh, if you can understand it on the first listen, then it's not deep and it's not smart. No, it's kind
not
of
a hit.
It's kind of the opposite. It's
Right.
like
I'm not mad at that. I like that.
It's you're on purpose, you're trying to craft something that is very clear.
Well, one of the things that we have, you know, when we go around and speak and so on and so forth, and I don't know where I heard this, but it struck me when I was coming up as a record executive, is that it takes genius to be simple.
Yes.
That's where genius lives.
Yeah.
It's not how complicated you can make it, it's how clear and simple and concise you can make it.
Yeah.
And people think it's the other way around
when
they're coming up.
And to serve, if you're trying to serve the story. I am, at least. I always want to serve the story. And if it's not clear, then the story isn't being served. Because if I don't know what the story is, then what the hell's happening?
When you write, do you write using a musical instrument? Do you just use...
I used to always start on piano when I was writing for myself or writing with band or blah, blah, blah. But now it's very rare. Normally collaborating with a producer / writer who is... I don't like to write to like big fleshed out tracks for the most part. I have, and I've had success doing that. But for the most part, I like to have a producer there who can just kind of create something really special and simple and basically just loop it for me and loop it for me and my co-writer. But yeah, it's very rare that I play anything now. Yeah.
How far do you follow the process? So you write the song, it gets to the artist. Are you concerned about who's producing it, who's mixing it? Do you
So normally the producer's in the room with us while we write, so they're going to produce it. And then it depends on who the producer is based on how far I follow the process.
Gotcha.
It also can depend how close I am to the artist.
Right.
So if the producer is an amazing beat maker but isn't that vocally proficient, or proficient sounds negative, it's not about that. If they're not vocally that inclined, then I normally will go and cut the vocal. But if the producer, Matt Man and Robin, who are my favorite collaborators, they're fucking geniuses.
We need to get them on the show. Could you help us do
They
that?
don't do any. They don't even speak to me half the time, let alone on camera. But they're very.
So we'll
very,
take Julia Michaels instead.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So they, they're like vocal geniuses. They'll like So I'm only ever cutting a vocal with them if like I'm really close with the artist, and for the most part, she would want me to be there. So it depends. Each situation's different.
But it matters to you.
It very much matters to me. Especially, sometimes things will get changed, and that can sting. Especially if like a lyric gets changed without. I'm very open to collaboration, as we've talked about. But like, if I like go on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, wherever I'm going to hear it, and a lyric has changed that no one told me was changing, that's not my favorite. It's like a little.
And people have heard from you when that happens. I just get that feeling.
Why do you say you can't write pop urban melodies? You can write them.
They're just, it's not
really
my.
well.
Well, but I also always have collaborators on. I haven't really ever top-lined a hit song alone. So I always choose collaborators. With Matt Man and Robin, Robin's pop melodies are amazing. So you can very much hear, like in Cake by the Ocean, like take time with the masterpiece, take time with it's very much me. It's very much like rhythmic rock roots, blah, blah, blah. But talk to me, baby. I would never write a melody that good. So
Did Cole come up with any of that, your former bandmate? Did he come up with?
Cole, how cool is that? Another band member that then goes on to play a lot of songs I co-wrote. It's pretty cool.
If you saw the movie, you wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe it.
No.
No, Cole came into the DNCE process. Cake by the Ocean was the first song we wrote where we were like, oh, okay, this is DNCE. Because after hanging out with Joe, writing sessions with Joe for a couple days, and just realizing like what a fun, charming, sexy dude he is, and I was like, let's just try to, for fun, let's just make a song that like really fits that.
Did we say Joe Jonas?
Joe Jonas, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Who's so, I don't know if you've ever seen him perform live, but the guy's a fucking superstar, like rock star. Anyway, so Cake by the Ocean was the first song we did that kind of was like, oh, this is what DNCE is. So for Cake by the Ocean specifically, Cole wasn't on board yet. He came on board like a couple weeks later.
Okay. Now that I know you're an engineer,
am I?
Can you describe your vocal chain?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not an engineer at all.
Oh.
So when I say I cut a vocal, I'm like there. I don't even own a computer, let alone know how to record someone on it.
Oh, I love that. That's so great.
Cars and computers are wonderful things.
No, I can't. I don't drive. I don't own a computer. Fuck all that. No. So when I say cut a vocal, I mean like the emotional sense of vocal producing.
Gotcha.
So. I need more.
I feel that. I don't feel this.
Exactly.
You need to give me more of that. Give me more of that.
Are you patient?
I'm very patient. But I think positivity is my greatest strength. And I think that positivity, whether it's cutting a vocal or whether it's writing a song, I think positivity in the room is possibly the most valuable thing you can have.
And you follow along a pretty illustrious line, at least of one super producers who don't drive. Do you know who that is?
No.
Quincy Jones.
Shut up.
Never
really?
driven a car ever.
So glamorous.
So now, see?
Isn't that just all of this? It's just too much.
Yeah, you could be creative.
There's a pedal involved.
You got to pay attention to other people.
Can't do it.
This is a bad question. I'll save everybody in the room the need to analyze it. But do you ever find it difficult because now you're famous and you go to work with a singer that you have to calm them down, and how do you do that?
In what sense do you mean?
If I was going and sing for you right now, I'd be nervous because all the success you've had, I wouldn't sing in front of you. I wouldn't sing in front of anybody, but...
I mean, I think that, we all walk into rooms with preconceived notions, whether it's me walking in to work with a superstar for the first time, or whether it's, I've told this story before, like my first session with Gwen Stefani, she's one of the reasons I make music. And so the first session I had with her, I just was really, she walked in and was very honest with us and was like, hey, I'm not trying to make fucking hits. I'm trying to tell the truth. Something's happening in my life. I need to talk about it. So if you're going to be in here and force me to like repeat
Let's not do
Holla
this.
Back Girl, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And then I followed up with, I just want to like sit in the room with you and do anything because I'm a super fan. And to like break the ice, I was just like, I'm a super fan. And now that we're so close, we'll laugh and I'll be like, she'll be talking about this. I'm like, oh, like you did in that song in 1994 on the album before you got famous. And she'll be like, you're creepy. Please get away from me. Or I'm like, oh, like that necklace you wore on Jimmy Fallon in 2004. And she's like, get away from me.
Okay, that's creepy. That is creepy.
But her fashion is good enough that it deserves to be memorized. But,
okay.
No, so I feel like if there is an artist that might be nervous, or we're both nervous, or whatever it is, it's just about creating a positive environment that kind of cuts through that bullshit.
Well, and how much, I think in our camp, is something that probably because I was a manager before I started doing this, that I focus on, and I also think is important. But when you have success, and it comes with some profile, whether you like it or not, you're creating a brand. You've been doing jewelry and stuff, so you're conscious of how important that is.
Yeah.
So was your personal brand also an important thing to you as you became Justin Tranter? Did you put work into the brand and extending it and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways I think about it. In terms of the music business, my brand is just to try to be the nicest person in the business. I feel like there's so few LGBTQ people in the music business, especially in behind the scenes world, that I don't ever want to come off as like a bitchy queen, even though sometimes that's necessary. I am aware that there's different hurdles that I have to jump over to succeed and to stay successful. And I'm aware of that, and I also do like to be nice. I think it's really fun to be nice. So that's part of my brand that I try to take really seriously, just because I like it and it makes me feel good. And then since I was 17 years old, I've always been like marrying art and activism together in every way that I can. I started an AIDS benefit at my high school.
At 17?
At 17.
That was in Chicago, right?
Yeah, and I still do that show every single year.
Oh, do you really?
They did. I don't do it, but the kids do it.
Right.
They like took it over every year for now 20. It'll be the 22nd year in the fall. So,
that's phenomenal. And now you're on the board of GLAAD, right?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Which is an amazing LGBTQ media advocacy organization that makes sure that media is being very inclusive of LGBTQ stories and makes sure that the news is telling the truth about LGBTQ people and our issues. So that's an important part of what my brand is. And then I also just like to make sure that artists know that with me, it's their story. It's not my story. It's not about me at all. Like, if you can hear me in a song, then I fucked up.
And if I was going to ask you if your advocacy ever informs your songwriting. I'm sure it must, because you can do that without it necessarily being about you.
Yeah.
But about things that touch you or you care about or you've seen or observed.
By the way, I love this picture, and it just distracted me.
We picked that up because it was very cool.
Isn't that cute?
Our
That's
guy
my
Chongo
parents.
picked that up, absolutely.
That's my parents, who are the biggest music fans in the world.
Oh, lovely. They must be proud of you.
They are too proud of me.
I bet.
It's like annoying. It's like, no, it's amazing. But yeah, I think that who we are informs everything we do, especially as creative people, So when I was younger, I used to get when I was, as an artist, as a singer artist, obviously we're all artists in the sense of making art, but I would get really upset when I would be referred to as like gay singer-songwriter or queer frontman or blah, blah, because I was like, it's more than that. But then I'm like, but no, I'm proud of that. And that does inform the art that I make, even when it's not my song, even when it's Justin Bieber is obviously a straight dude. Like, me being a part of that process as a queer person does inform it, and I think so my activism is a part of it. Who I am is a part of it. My parents are a part of it. Like, it all affects the art, whether you can hear it or not.
And I think when you're an other, could be black, could be Jewish, could be whatever it is. What you care about also sets your radar up for when you're running into it, and how to handle it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
And in a business that is fairly, it's got sort of a square box to it. You end up learning, ooh, okay, that's what that means, and here's how I can get around it and deal with it.
100%.
Yeah. It keeps you on edge.
I think like as an other or a marginalized person or however you want to talk about it, like we all develop our own survival skills to sort of navigate not only the world but to navigate this music business that is not very inclusive. It's getting better, and we have to stay positive because if I only talk shit about it, then I'm gonna like quit or something. But I think we learn these different survival skills to get through every single day and to get through the businesses that we choose to be in.
I'm going to terribly date myself, but
Please do.
I will.
Date yourself.
When
that
I was-
sounds a little obscene.
Well, you know, when you're lonely,
I married myself.
I was going to say it's a beautiful wedding ring.
Thank you.
When I was a record executive and we were doing well, MTV wouldn't play black videos. Can you even imagine that?
It's insane.
And
Sadly, I can imagine
the
that.
work and
Michael
the
couldn't even get
meetings that had to take place to get over that, which ended up being meetings, not activism, different kind of activism.
Right, that is activism. Yeah.
And but it was sit down at the table and say, how is this even
I mean, it's just
possible?
so
It's mind-boggling.
insane.
It's mind-boggling. And I remember when it broke, and then it became something. And now, if you look at it today, it's original programming.
Right.
it's everything. It's,
Yeah.
But what is fascinating that I think that you and others who care as much as you do about the things you care about, there are also times in the culture that call for activism at different times. I feel like we're in one of those times. Do you?
I do. I always, because I'll get asked a lot in interviews, like, do you think that artists and or any type of musicians who have a platform, that if they aren't using it, do you think that that's wrong? And it's a tough thing because it's like if someone's dream was to make music, just because their dream came true, does that mean that they have to be politically conscious? Does that mean they have to be socially conscious, even if they don't want to deal with politics? You know, like, and I think the answer is no, they don't have to. But at a time where our democracy is literally being threatened on a daily basis, at a time where hate crimes have gone up a lot. I want to say 40%, but I don't remember the exact number, so I don't want to misquote something. But when hate crimes are going through the roof of all marginalized people, if we aren't speaking up, if we aren't using these platforms that we've been given, obviously it takes a lot of work to get your platform. It's not like you just hand it to you. But if you have a platform and if you aren't using it to try to make people safer, then what the fuck are you doing?
Wouldn't it be safe to say that the biggest enemy of any movement is apathy?
I think the biggest enemy of anything is apathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the corollary for you guys out there is speak your truth. That, you know, whether you're engineering or mixing or tracking or writing or managing, whatever you're doing, that there's a place inside you where that truth can actually lead you to success
100%.
by being truthful. So there is a correlation to this discussion that has to do with something that you may not have ever sort of found out yourself, because in today's environment, there are too many people that are trying to replicate success instead of saying, wait, what's my signature?
Well, that's amazing. So when I first got the amazing...
Did you just call me amazing?
It did.
Thank
it
you.
did.
Cool.
I don't know how to do these.
But that's
handshakes.
no, it's all right.
Just-
You
we'll
don't
just hug-
drive
we'll
in.
hug
We'll
after.
do
We'll
it
hug
afterwards.
after.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
So when I first started writing songs with and for other people, which kind of happened on accident, just because the band we were shelved at Epic Records. Because Ellie Reed hated the band and hated my songs and hated everything.
But he's living to regret that.
Hashtag me too.
Wow.
And
I'll tell you stories.
Hold on a second. To the audience, rewind that moment. That's
great
the
moment.
headline right there.
It was an absolute great moment. And it was a writer's pun.
I know.
Like he grabbed it and flipped it.
He practiced that. I know he did.
I did.
Jim,
Well,
he practiced that,
he
right?
called me and said, set me up. And I did straight man, and he did.
Damn.
So he wouldn't release our music, and the guy that signed us to publishing had left Warner Chappell, and this amazing young woman named Katie Vinson came in, and she was ready to win. Like it was her first job. Like one of her first jobs is like a real deal A&R. She had worked in publishing before, but this was like her moment to go for it. And she was like 4 years younger than me, and was a fan of the band and blah blah. But she was like, I don't work at Epic. but I work at Warner Chapel, and I think you're amazing. I can put you in sessions for other people if you would want to do that. And I was like, of course, I want to do anything.
Yeah.
And the first couple months, I would try to like do what I thought was trendy, do what I thought would make sense, keep the lyrics really vague so that anyone could like it, blah, blah, blah. And then I wrote a song called Nostalgic, co-wrote a song called Nostalgic with Ryan Blackington and Vaughn Oliver from Oliver and Dan Keyes. And me and Dan mainly were doing the lyrical content, and we were both being like super, super specific about exes of ours. And I got, from Katie and the other people at Warner Chapel and my co-writers, publishers, we got the best reaction we had gotten. And that's probably, And I was like, oh, wait. So, and it almost kind of sounds like a rock song-ish, And I was like, wait, so if I just do what I think is awesome,
that's enough.
That's gonna work if I just speak my truth. And then Kelly Clarkson cut it a couple days later, and it was like, oh, fuck, which I didn't know at the time, but in songwriter world, in your first I was out in LA for like 3 months writing the pop circuit.
God, that's so fast.
It's so fast.
Unbelievable.
And so then literally in 3 months I went, oh, okay, so I need to write what I think is cool.
Yeah.
And I need to tell the truth, or I need to help my co-writer tell the truth, tell their truth. So to your point, it's speaking your truth in your art, in your life, and everything I believe is the only way to win.
When this was happening, what's your age range then?
This was 2013, so I'm about to turn 38. So I was like 32, 30.
What? You are not 38.
Yeah, she's old, honey.
Get out of here. Well, she looks good for
Thank you.
I'm adjusting.
I like it. I like it. You're quick, very quick.
Absolutely.
I got underwear at 38.
I'm sorry for you.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Your underwear.
While we're here, might as well ask you a question. I get this question. I know Herb gets this question a lot. When is the right time to do a publishing deal? I always tell people, you ain't got nothing to publish. Then nobody's going to give you money just for nothing. But
I mean, that's fair.
But when is a good time to get a publishing deal? Like the young.
Well, it depends what you
Justin.
want to do.
Right.
If you want to be an artist and you're writing for yourself, I think you wait until you have as much buzz as possible. You probably wait, if you want a record deal, you wait until you have a record deal, because that'll just make your publishing deal that much more valuable. But if you want to be a songwriter for other people, if you don't have those connections in your life, whether it's management, whether it's your mom, whether it's you found them yourself on the internet, if you don't have the connections to get in the sessions that you need to get into, you have to have publishing as soon as possible, if the publisher actually does their job, which is hard to find.
Right, exactly.
So the big advance is not as valuable as the big opportunity that a publisher can give you. Obviously, you want both, but
the opportunity is much more important. I feel like at the time that Katie started working on me, the advance the band had gotten was like long gone.
Right.
Between Interscope taking their cut, between management taking their cut, between losing a lot of money on tour, so using our publishing advance to survive. By the time I started writing pop sessions, that advance was completely gone. And when things started to work a little bit, Big John and Katie took care of me to make sure I could still go to sessions. But it was not about money in that point at all. It was just about finding Katie Vincent, who worked her ass off for me. And I think, too, big advances can really put a lot of pressure on new people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's of course you need money to survive, so go get your money. But if the advance is crazy, the clock starts ticking immediately.
And they will suspend you in a heartbeat if you don't make your covers, if things don't get picked up. And
it's a lot.
Then you can just be in limbo.
Yeah.
And you also can't get to the profit side. And the times have changed, where what now is a big advance is different than when it was back in the day. It was a big advance. A big advance now is based on sales history and data and stuff that they think they're going to get return on.
Yeah.
Not whereas back in our day, there was this promise that you're going to do something and people would bet on the promise a little bit. That's changed.
Very much changed.
Yeah, that's changed. So
the freedom to do unproven deals is a lot less now.
A lot less.
It's about really, whether it's publishing or whatever, it's about finding that partner, the business partner that is actually going to do their job and get you in the rooms they're supposed to get you in.